why did we choose the name Naked and Rich? Well, actually, before we do that, I'm sipping on this delicious milkshake from the yard here at Seaboard Station, right here in Raleigh. If you're downtown Raleigh, please make sure to check out the yard. We went light with the milkshakes. There is so much.
They have amazing creations.
Delicious desserts that I
yes.
want to try on my cheat day. But right now, I want to just enjoy this milkshake.
And it's delicious.
You know, this whole community has been about having transparent conversations, real conversations, honest conversations. And that's why we coined the term naked. Because when we think naked, it's like, you know, when you don't have any clothes on, it's like you see parts of me that I usually have covered. The hope and goal is that we're able to foster an environment where couples feel comfortable fully exposing their inside and deep feelings. So naked, a safe space. So naked is really about transparent communications. But then when it comes to rich, it's the true riches, the things that money can't buy, like a deeper relationship, like more trust, like better communication.
Financial oneness.
Financial oneness. So that's the hope for kind of naked and rich.
So it's not about nudity. It's nothing obscene. So please don't kick me out of mommy group. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, then when it comes to, like you mentioned the term that maybe people aren't familiar with, financial oneness. What did you mean by that, or what does that mean?
Yeah, so financial oneness is basically when a married couple is 100% aligned financially. When I say that, I mean, I'm not just talking about joint accounts.
Okay.
I'm talking about attitudes, aspirations, and plans regarding their financial future of their home, their household. Sure. And that oneness, just like any other type of alignment, takes intentionality. It doesn't just happen because you're married 20, 30 years. That's not how that doesn't happen magically. Just like any type of becoming one, it takes intention and a lot of hard work, a lot of heavy work, and a lot of that work goes on inside. Goes inside, you know, your heart attitudes as well as your mental attitudes, and aligning that with one another to make sure you're on the same page.
Absolutely.
So you can move forward together and successfully, hopefully, in your financial endeavors.
Yeah. And also it accelerates things when you have two people working at the same goal versus one individual kind of working at it, even though it's hard. Like I used to say, you know, for us to become financially one, it was like trying to merge Mars and Venus, you know, like, because you have these unearthed, unaddressed emotions going into these conversations that sometimes you don't even realize is there. And then once you open that wall, it's like, all right, you gonna put the sheetrock back up? You know, no, it's time to talk about it. You know,
anything about money gets sensitive. We got trauma, we got our own, you know, baggage around money, our own feelings about money, and it gets sensitive real fast. So, but again, the benefits far outweigh the work. One, you know, benefit, or one of the riches that come out of financial oneness is being able to financially pivot quickly.
Okay.
When you are financially one, when the unexpected happens, you're able to respond faster and better because you're on the same page. You have that financial oneness as your foundation, and from there, pivoting becomes very, very much so not easy, but easier process.
So we've been on our financial journey now for what is about 15 or 18?
It's actually closer to 18
years. Okay. Yeah. In a previous video, you'll see it started at the bank where my wife met an individual who's now my mentor, and they introduced us to Crown Financial at that time. If you go back to that video, I clearly said I did not want to go. I didn't want anybody inside my financial business, and we were doing okay. I was straight up with that. Went to bed that night. God was like, no, you need to go to that seminar. Woke up, went to the seminar, drank the Kool-Aid, and that launched our financial journey, if you will. And from there, we continued to build. Like it was mentioned, over 2,000 scriptures in the Bible dealing with money. I wanted to find out what the Bible had to say about it. I wanted to know as many as I possibly could.
Yes, you did.
And then as we began to collect this information, people started asking us to speak just on finances in general. It started with small groups, and the groups got larger. And then we were invited to preach during church service, like a Sunday service.
Right.
And really, our heart was always for couples, especially married individuals, because we understood our journey, and if there was anything we could do to help someone else, I guess, learn from our journey, we really wanted to do that. So we invested the time and effort and prayer into understanding the scriptures, reading books. At that time, you know, my wife was working at a bank. She had her financial certification. So it seems like finance in some way, shape, or form just really became a part of our life overall. So,
Agreed.
and that's why we're doing it. And then we have to mention, there's a lot you learn over time, you know, being with a person. What does finances look like for us compared to other couples? Like having your own financial identity. So we're hoping and praying based upon, you know, the biblical knowledge we have, years of marriage we have, and just overall financial education, that hopefully we can share one or two nuggets with somebody about, you know, what we learned in this process.
Also sharing the losses, sharing the fails, the epic fails we've had.
People want to talk about that.
You know, so, you know, that's something we also hope to continue to share. That's also one of the things that motivated us to do this, is that if people can learn from our mistakes, that makes the mistakes more like tuition. We're paying tuition, or paying it forward. Yep. And so that's also another part of it.
We want to kind of ease the pressure of these conversations, because these conversations can get really, really tense. So we wanted to figure out, okay, how can we make these conversations easier? How can we make them lighter? We introduced this channel, and then for some time now, we've been working on trying to gamify these tough conversations.
And that's actually the last question.
Okay.
Yeah. As many of our followers know, May 1st, we started pre-orders for Naked and Rich, Decent Exposure, the card game.
Decent Exposure. Yep.
And people are like, why did you make a card game? Where did that come from? You know, given that financial topics are usually a pretty heavy, it's a heavy lift conversation. And, you know, we're coming out with a card game. So it's like, huh?
And now let me say, the card game is geared towards married individuals. I'm going to say why in a second, but we were just having a conversation with a person who was single, and we went through kind of some of the cards and how she could even reflect on them herself or reflect on them with someone she was in a relationship with. But at the onset, it is for married couples, and there's 3 reasons for that. First, we want couples to be able to communicate better about finances.
Absolutely.
Okay. 2, and this is personal for me, I want to increase nudity amongst married people.
He's very
just
serious
being honest. I am dead up serious with that, and hopefully, the onset is I do want intimacy to increase in marriage. I want married people having more sex. I'm not going to lie to you.
He's 100%
now,
serious.
If you could combine finances, nudity, and sex all into one game, hey, I'm all about it. I don't know if this is possible. There's a lofty goal, but I'm going to shoot for it, and I'm going to try it. Now, let me say this. This comes from a conversation we had about financial oneness. It was a sermon. And at the time, we were speaking to the audience to say, if you're having a really hard conversation with your significant other, it is getting tense. Like, say if, you know, we had a daughter and Tasha tells me, hey, every time your mother gets around, I feel like you're listening to her more than you're listening to me about our daughter. That is an example of a conversation that can get pretty heated. But you know what would decrease that heat? If Natasha came to me naked and said, hey.
He's 100% serious. Just want to let you know.
I think you are listening to your mother more than you listen to me. I'm just listening to her right now, whatever she has to say, because she is naked. I want to know, I am fully interested. I am fully invested. I am fully invested in change. So what I'm recommending to couples is, if you have a hard conversation that you need to have with your significant other, try to have it naked. That is my recommendation. But back to the game.
Back to the game.
Okay. Sorry for that pivot. So as a man, we are challenged oftentimes at work, in the community, sometimes at home. And if she brings home a game about finances and say, hey, Ray, I would like to talk to you about finances. What I'm hearing is, I would like to talk to you about how you're not a good husband and how you need to do better at finances. Now, that's my issue. I need to deal with that. So if there are other men out there just like me, to overcome this, we added the intentional feature of the option of having these conversations naked. And I got several amens from brothers on that. So with that being
We
said,
did test it. I just want to say, and it was
about
unanimous.
intimate financial conversations, but there is optional nudity in the game.
We really strongly have just in our relationship, we can attest to this. When it comes to communication, particularly financial communication, being able to communicate about your money, it is a muscle that needs to be exercised.
Yep.
And it's just like any other exercise. It's really unpleasant when you haven't been exercising it, up until this point. It's really hard to do a cold start. And so we wanted to provide a resource, something as fun as possible, to gamify this difficult process of learning how to exercise your financial communication muscles. And that's really what the game seeks to do. The questions range from really kind of like lighthearted to some very heavy financial topics. And the whole idea is to spark that conversation, transparent, honest conversation. And yes, there's an element of spicy fun for those.
I call it financial friskiness.
Financial friskiness. Yes, the new sexy. And basically it's an opportunity to have some fun with it. Absolutely. To remember that that's your boo, that's your husband, that's your wife. And nudity does tend to help you remember, oh, this is just another flesh and blood person who I love. Not my enemy. Who I love, who I'm committed to, who's committed to me.
Who I love, and who cares for me. I thank you for laying that foundation. I thank you for sharing that. And I do ask, if you're listening to this conversation, please share it with someone. I know it was a little crazy, a little awkward. We're getting questions now just about the channel. To all of our followers, to everyone who helped with the overall game, we just appreciate you. And we're hoping we can really build a community where individuals can communicate better about finances. Because if you get that right, then the rest is just a lot easier.